Hey guys, it's Jecolia of JecoliaJems. Thank you so much for coming back once again to view my channel. If you haven't already done so, go ahead and subscribe to me. Turn on the post notifications so that you can be made aware every time I go live and or upload a video. Like this video, share it to your social media platform, and go ahead and do me a favor. Comment down below so that we can engage. So this video, as of all my other videos, is sponsored by my business, Harvest Essence. So on today, I am drinking hibiscus tea and I decided to chill it. And so I definitely sell hibiscus teas where you can take them and you can make them hot or you can serve them cold. I also sell herbal baths as well as yoni steams. And speaking of yoni, now I know a lot of you have possibly seen the snippet when Nick Cannon was on Angela Yee's Lip Service podcast. Now, he began to say that 80% of women deal with feminine issues. Now, we know that, it's possible to have an off day. Everybody's human, everyone sweats. However, were you ladies aware of the fact that all of your health starts within your gut? So, a lot of times women get used to their natural smell based off of the diet of the women around them as well as themselves. So they don't really know how it feels to smell any different. A lot of women eat a lot of bread, a lot of sugars, a lot of canned food, processed food. A lot of women, because they still look good, they may overindulge in their liquor, in their sweets, in their meat intake. And if we're being completely honest, a lot of women binge out on seafood. I used to love seafood and never had any complaints. However, when we began to look at these different type of foods that we are consuming in comparison to what our natural pH balance is supposed to be in order to stay healthy, guarantee you if we use the bathroom on a strip, it's going to be something that's off. So with that being said, Harvest Essence also sells a yoni oil. Now, this yoni oil, as you can see, has many, many herbs, many, many flowers. It's made 100% natural. Did you guys know that coconut oil actually has a chemical in it that's known for helping out with yeast infections? Did you know that baking soda and tea tree oil, as well as many different herbs such as this red basil and chamomile and nettle and raspberry leaf, some hibiscus and fenugreek, all of these things mixed in together can possibly help you restore your natural pH balance. But first, you must clean up your diet. And this has a lot to do with today's video, guys, because I'm about to talk about femininity. Let me take a sip. Now, when we think about the word femininity, at least me, so to speak, is something that should come natural to a woman. And this is before any type of trauma, before any type of abuse. When we look at the word femininity, well, we're going to look at the word feminine first. And femininity is just the aspect of being feminine, it's the embodiment thereof. So, feminine means having qualities or an appearance traditionally associated with women, of or denoting a gender of nouns and adjective conveniently regarded as female on a metrically weak beat. Okay, so that's concerning music. The female sex or gender. Now, I know a lot of the girls, for some reason, like to tussle. That's how y'all talk, right? And a lot of women hate the word female now. And it's confusing to me the nitpicking that we as women, and I'm specifically talking to Black women, that we have began to do when it comes to saying, oh, don't call me this, call me that. I dare to say that we have begun to pick up on the LGBTQ pronouns when it comes to don't call me female, call me a woman. Because let's look at the etymology of these words. The word feminine is rooted in Latin femina, meaning woman, in Latin feminis, and then in late Middle English, feminine. And because of the captivity we are in now, and by Latin being a dead language, but it's still used over in the Vatican, another lesson, we see that it literally means woman. The word female, of or denoting the sex that can bear offspring or produce eggs, distinguished biologically by the production of gametes or ova, which can be fertilized by male gametes, relating to or the female gender. Okay, a female person, a woman, a girl. Latin, femina, meaning a woman. Latin, familia, um, Old French, familier, English, male, English, female. So male and female are rooted in similar words. And so we can see that when we look at the etymology of the word woman, it is literally rooted in female. So can we please cancel out that asinine, ignorant, lack of reading and studying premise that Black women have began to gain their argument of, if someone says the word female, then I know all I need to know about them, that they read a book and that they went to science class. Because whether you're a plant, whether you're an animal, whether you're a woman, women are actually mammals. See, I just feel like we're back in fifth and sixth grade science class again. And, those are some of my favorite times. But it's just kind of like, come on, y'all. We being too sensitive about certain things. But then we have episodes of podcasts with women saying that men need to create a safe place for them to operate in their feminine energy. But you're a woman, therefore, your feminine energy is innate. Let's get into the balance of the masculine and feminine because both sexes actually have both on the inside of them. Scientifically speaking, we will see this represented by estrogen and testosterone. Now, in the spiritual world, which I love to tie everything into, we will see that when you see the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, El, when you see him sitting at the top of his pantheon, there is a feminine aspect to him called chokma or hokma, and this is represented literally meaning wisdom. And we see her personified in Proverbs, the eighth chapter, all throughout the book. And she said that she was there in the beginning as a counterpart, that great men and women know to cry out for wisdom. So when we see that in the beginning there was a balance, and we see that the Most High God is a father. And when we begin, and I'm going to link down a video below from my Moray Divine Prospect of Kingdom Harbinger Ministries. I will also link down a video below of Moray Abdiel Zion Lexx. He has a video as well speaking on the role of a woman in West Africa. And so when we look at the concept of that balance in the beginning, when it said that the world was total voodoo without form and void, and the only other place you see that biblically is in the book of Isaiah, and it says that the Spirit of God began to hover over the face of the deep. And we see all of these things taking place. When you have a perfectly balanced home, you see man and you see woman. And when a man taps into what we call his feminine side, that's him literally tapping into his wisdom and into his understanding, because wisdom is feminine and understanding, which is process wisdom or benai, are also feminine aspects. When you see a woman tap into her headship and tap into her authority and tap into her strength that will cause her to engage into war and things of that nature, then you will see her tapping into the masculine that's on the inside of her. Masculine and feminine lies within both. The problem begins to lie is that when one outweighs the other and we then find it in balance as a woman, your femininity should always exude much more than your masculinity and vice versa. But we're going to focus on women on today. Now, this is not me saying that women were born and made to be docile. Do I believe that everyone should have a level of meekness about them? Absolutely. The word meek is mentioned in the Bible over 30 times, if not close to 100. Meekness and submissiveness are actually used as synonyms when you look up the definition of submissive, because I'm going to tie all of this in to see if this is something that's optional, your femininity, or if this is something that's supposed to be on the inside of you, because we're going to talk today. Submissive means ready to conform to the authority or will of others, meekly obedient or passive. And I know some of you are like, well, that sounds like something that's not okay. Because when we look at it from a Eurocentric standpoint, because I'm giving you Eurocentric as well as Eurasian, coupling the two, same difference, definitions of these words. And because a lot of us have adapted, well, all of us in some way, shape, form, or fashion have adapted the Eurocentric mindset because of the captivity that we are in. Us as a black people, when we speak about love, when we speak about marriage, we do not sound like ourselves. We sound like our oppressors. We sound like our colonizers because as black women, actually brown women, because over in West Africa, over in Africa, period, we will be considered brown. We would be called kafirs. We would be called niggers. We would be called Negroes. We will be separated based off of our culture structures, based off of our DNA, based off of everything away from other nations in Africa. Africa has so many countries and so many different nations, but if you look over into the Sudanese or the Nilotic people and the Ethiopians, those are black people. We're brown. We've just called ourselves black because here, over here in America, we're blacker than everyone else. And also the word Niger means black. So that's another side of it as well. And so when we begin to spew out this feminist movement and femininity being optional, we did not see this enter into our household dynamic until I want to say between the 1960s and the 1980s. Let's get an exact date on when the feminist movement began to start so that we can be accurate in all things. Yes. So the feminist movement started in the 1960s, and this was labeled under the woman's liberation, the diverse social movement, largely based in the United States, that in the 1960s and 70s saw equal rights and opportunities and greater personal freedom for women. It coincided with and is recognized as part of the second wave of feminism. And so when we look into women's rights now, I'm no idiot. I believe that women deserve to get paid just as much, if not more, than men when they are qualified. I believe that women should have their rights to vote and things of that nature. So let's not get it twisted. I also believe that there is a hierarchy. And when we look into African, Bantu African cultures, we will see that the black woman, the Negro woman, the Bantu woman, the Israelite woman, the Hebrew woman never had to fight for equality or never had to fight for a voice amongst our men because we were not lacking a voice. A lot of women hold biblical traditional standards for men in relationship. And to me, this is something that's really backwards because how can you be a non traditional woman but you want tradition in your household. That doesn't make sense to me. We want men who work, who provide, who will pay majority of the bills. We want men who will pitch in with the housework and just do all of these things and just be strong, be protector. And you should want all of those things. But then we come in with the mindset to say that submission is optional. My femininity is optional. That a man has to create the space for you to be who you are already supposed to be. What is it about you that qualifies a man to want to create a space for you to inhabit when you have not already come to him with a certain level of femininity and a certain level of submissiveness about you? I'm going to say this. All of us have something that's broken about us. All of us have some working out to do. And so there will be times when couples get married and a woman isn't perfectly submissive, but she has a willing and a pliable spirit. She listens. She knows that the man is the authority, but maybe she gets just a little snappy sometime, or she's not used to doing all of the housework, or maybe she isn't the best cook. And so then there becomes a balance, but she allows that man because she has to humble herself. She has to remember that she is bait. And according to Moray Zion Lex, his book is back there. Um, on the sound of DNA and creation, he began to talk about the letter B, the letter Bet, and how this letter is used as a bending of the knee when it comes to prayer. And so when a woman begins to bend herself and to submit herself to a man, and he begins to be able to mold her, not into a gullible fool, not into a liar, because this man, I'm going to get into the aspects of this man just a little bit on this video. I'm gonna make more videos about it because this man begins to identify. I'll talk about my parents, and I'll also link down below my Survivor Scribe interview that I actually did with my father some weeks back, and he began to talk about the courtship between him and my mother. And he began to say how my mother was 97 pounds soaking wet when they got married. Before they got married, my mother was not interested in my father at all. And I asked him in this interview, I said, what was it about Patricia Ann Willis that made you go after her? Because my father is a beautiful man. He's a catch. He's hardworking. He is considerate. He's affectionate. He's romantic. He begins to mold. He's a sapiosexual. So he has depth and he has intellect. He's a worshiping man. He seeks the Most High for answers. You understand what I'm saying? He's a man of infrastructure, a man of foundation. And so he was always one of the men that women liked, that detoured my mother, that did not impress her. She couldn't stand him. And because my father was in a position of him seeking the Most High for a wife, he had it in his mindset. And excuse the background, guys, I'm sorry. We're in Chicago and it's the summertime. He had a mindset that he was seeking a wife because he was raised to be a husband by his mother and his father. And based on society standards, my mother would not have been qualified to marry some of you because she was somebody's baby's mother. She got pregnant at the age of 19 while she was off to college. He saw everything about her: the intellect, the poise, the honor, the submissiveness, the softness, the chase. And so he pursued her and they created a friendship. My mother wrote many, many, many books about being, I'm gonna meet this. We cannot control the environment, okay? My mother wrote books and gave testimonies about being a victim of molestation by men in her family, by a pastor, and different things of that nature. And so, to some, women like that would be automatically disqualified. Being born in a house in Mississippi, growing up in Cape Town on the west side of Chicago, 290 all day, growing up in a certain type of environment. But because this was a woman that held true to her femininity, despite what she went through, she was poised. She was calm. She was cool. She did not play. But it was something about her that stood out to this man who already know how to readily identify. So I'm saying all that to say that we cannot use our trauma and our abuse and our hurt and our pain as an excuse not to be feminine. We cannot wait for a man to come along who has infrastructure, who has a sound mind, who has emotional stability to come up to us and be like, here, now be feminine. That's not how it goes. Because how would we feel if we had all of these feminine aspects about us? We listened, we cooked, we cleaned, we fast, we pray, we worship, we listen, we take what it is that this man has and we multiply on it. We show that we can do these things, that we are garden, that this is good soil, that this is good seed. And regardless of what it is that it has been through, that we have begun to take the seed and toil it, and we use the fertilizer from our past pains and hurts in order to begin to get the soil ready to be prosperous. What if we did all of that and a man came up to us and say, you got to provide for me a safe space for me to be masculine? How would we look at him? We want equality so bad, but we fail to have an equal mindset void of logic. And it's because, as Black women, we have tapped into the wrong side of our masculine energy, but we are so void of logic and sound thinking. And this is not okay. I'll be the first to say, when I have conversations with my father or with my male colleagues and even some of my female colleagues, and I make comments and I say, I want to be more feminine, my father told me, you sound crazy. You are feminine. And I'm like, yeah. He like, no, you're very feminine. And it's because there are still parts of me that I don't like, parts of me that I've killed out before. Like the cursing. Let's talk about the cursing. And I know that's neither masculine nor feminine. It's just something about it that I don't like coming off my tongue. And at one point, I stopped it. I loved when I basked in that presence. There were times in my last relationship where I reactively became the abuser because of what it is that I was going through. But if I was operating in my full femininity and had myself submitted and surrendered to the voice of my father, even being grown, even not being in his household, still under his authority and under his tutorship, if I followed the law of my father, which was rooted in a Hebraic um, concept, the law of my father always was for his daughters, is you bring somebody home before you start calling yourself liking them. This is so that he can protect our gardens, so that he can protect our femininity, so that we would not be plucked up and used and wasted asunder. But when we begin to step outside of and think we have the same authority of a man, that's when the problem begins to ensue. It is not a man's job to give you a space to become that which you are supposed to be. If you run into a man who's already masculine and he decides to take his time with you, a lot of women end up damaging these men and they, I'm not doing it no more. I'm not dating nobody else broken daughter. I'm not dating nobody else's baby's mother. I'm not dating nobody else who this, who that. And a lot of times good men become hard because they run into masculine women and they are called the good guys or they're called simps. And there's a big difference between simps. I'm gonna make videos about simps because I know a simp. It's a big difference between a simp and a good man. It's a huge difference. A lot of women will dog out good men and then label them simps because they've never been treated right before. And because that good man had the eye that said that he saw something about you, but because you could not break yourself, he either leaves broken or you've been given up on. So this message is to tell you as a woman, as a female, if you are broken, if you are bitter, if you find yourself standing toe to toe with a man, not because he's abusing you, but you just like already ready on go. Like Brittany Bronner, I think that's her name. Shorty was all up in dude's face at the concert, and people like, oh, he antagonized her. She walked away, and he said, I love PJ. She could have kept walking. What we have to stop doing is blaming men for our irrational decisions. She could have kept walking and kept it moving. Baby, at one point you loved PJ too. So why you mad that he got a fan? But what did she do? She got her racially ambiguous behind in that black man's face doing all like this. And yeah, of course, he antagonized her. He antagonized her. We're not focused on that. She threw the water in his face. Then he got drugged and he got snatched. We could break all of that down, and I just may. But this is a masculine woman because she's the same woman that laughs at women about being submissive. Oh, that sounds like subordination to me. Look at all the words that start and go. I got a brief video, just a real brief one, on some words that start with sub that will begin to make you an amazing woman. This is something that's seen entirely too much. So, like I was saying, if you're a woman that finds yourself doing that, or if you're a woman who you're mean and you're aggressive and you're loud, or maybe you're quiet, but you're always angry and you're always nitpicking, and you need to heal. If you have a problem with being feminine as a woman, you need to heal. You need spiritual work. You need root work. You need shadow work. You need something. And all of these terms can be linked back to biblical scriptures. You need inward work before you go out and damage somebody else's son. With that being said, Black woman, your job is to be feminine, or you will never find a man that's completely balanced that's going to deal with you. The only type of men who deal with masculine women are men who are really not invested in you. So he's messing around with feminine women behind your back. And because you're so masculine and you're so angry, you will never have another conversation with another woman. And you've won. Or he has too much femininity himself. Real masculine men don't play tug of war with women. They will leave you where you stand. So, with that being said, you guys go ahead, like, comment, share, subscribe. And once again, this video, as well as all of my other ones, sponsored by my business, Harvest Essence. Feel free to follow me on Instagram at Tierra, Tierra underscore holiday with two L's on Instagram, as well as that same handle on TikTok. Let's get this conversation started. I know some of y'all gonna be mad about it. You have no choice, mama. Go ahead and calm down. Be cute. Talk to y'all later.